I wonder if the snow loves the tree and fields, that it kisses them so gently, and then it covers them up snug, with a white quilt, and then perhaps it says, "Go to sleep, my darlings, till the summer comes again."
Welcome to AMI Audiobook Review, the weekly podcast where we chat all things audiobooks. The quote of the week brought to you by Jacob Szymanski, co-host of the show. Ramya, I'm the host of the show. Nisreen Abdelmajid is the technical producer. See how I flip things around, keeping you on your toes? Jay, why'd you pick this quote?
I don't know if you noticed, Ramya, but it's cold as hell outside.
No, really.
This quote about winter is from Lewis Carroll of the Alice in Wonderland series. It's a more optimistic take on winter. And snow is a nice white blanket that's just putting all of the trees to sleep. I tend to disagree. I think it's not a white quilt. It's a suffocating blanket that chokes the joy out of you. I don't like the cold at all.
Did you pick this quote so you can smash it on air?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Thank you for that. No, it is pretty. It is beautiful. And it is a soft blanket. I love the sound when it's so quiet because there's such a thick layer of snow on the ground and the world sounds different. I love that.
It does sound very muffled. Do you like the sound of the snow crunching under your feet?
Exactly. I know nobody, wants that necessarily because you got to get out of your driveways and shovel your cars and go onto the roads. Ugh. But in a place like Toronto, you savor these moments anyway. You savor like that first kind of beautiful, thick snowfall on the ground before anyone has stepped in it. And yeah, it's nice.
It's true. There's something glorious about that nice, clean snow, but it doesn't take long for it to become a muddy, cold mess of sadness.
Mush. Gross. Yeah, exactly. So until then, savor it, huh? And it's only magical, even more magical when it's on Christmas Day, but it doesn't have to be. I'll take Boxing Day as well.
What are we talking about today, Rams?
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on. We are going to have a rapid fire review bonanza. So if you don't know, we love this game and we are going to put everyone to the test, including ourselves. So Nisreen, myself, Jacob, we're going to be finally participating in rapid fire review. But before we do, because that's going to be after the break, we're actually bringing on a guest, community reporter on Kelly and Ramya. She joins us monthly from Pictou County, Nova Scotia. Julie Martin is joining us to talk books because, Julie, you're like top 5 people in my life who I love to talk books with. We've had you on this show. We've had you on KNR talking or reviewing books and recommending books to us. You come on the community report and squeeze in book conversation. So it's so lovely to have you back. How are you?
I'm really well. Thank you for that. What a lovely thing to say.
Yeah.
You guys make my heart smile. You really do.
Oh my goodness. And you make our heart smile. And honestly, I love when you just go on and on about books, when you describe different things that you love about books. It's so fabulous. But it's not going to be a calm and cool part just now because we're doing rapid fire review. Jacob can explain.
Yeah, let's get into it. Just to give you a quick reminder of what the rapid fire review is, Julie provided us 5 of her most recent notable reads. We're going to go through all of them. She has 15 seconds each to give us a very brief review. Once we get through all 5 books, Julie, you get to pick one of the 5 books to elaborate on, rant, rave, whatever you want. The platform is yours. And we're calling this a rapid fire review bonanza episode because do you know what the etymology of the word bonanza is?
No.
It's a Spanish word that used to mean clear seas for sailors, good weather, good conditions for fast sailing, and that means lots of profit for the merchants. And it ended up evolving into meaning just good conditions to make profit in general. It was used a lot in the gold rush in the early 1900s when they would find a big vine of ore or gold, they would say, oh, it's a bonanza. But today it just evolved to just mean generally anything that comes as a sudden and substantial gain or profit. And I think what our listeners gain here is a whole bunch of really quick recommendations, which I can't get enough of. I don't know about you, Rams, But I've already picked up a couple books that our guests have presented on the rapid fire reviews. So like
I
I
actually
can't
love
wait to
it.
hear what you have to say here, Julie.
Okay.
Yeah. And usually it makes the guests a little nervous because you only get 15 seconds, right? But the rest of us get a really good time. And maybe at the end of it, you'll have a good time as well.
All right, Julie, are we all set?
We're set.
Okay, let's go. You have 15 seconds. The first book, and you can start once you hear the ticking sound, is The Five People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom.
Meet Eddie. He's a ride mechanic at Coney Island. He dies, goes to heaven, where he meets 5 people that made a significant difference in his life, or he made a significant difference in their life. Oh,
Oh,
I did it.
Wow.
brilliant. Wow.
Oh, she's a pro.
Hi.
She's a pro. Okay.
I didn't read it when I was doing it at home with my
Oh, you
Alexa.
practiced.
I did, but I failed every time.
We'll see. Okay, go.
All right, next book, The Wife Between Us by Sarah Pekkanen.
Oh my goodness. Anything you assume about this book when you're reading it is not going to be right. Every time I thought I had it solved, it was gone. It's about a couple, the deceit, the manipulation, and the husband has an eye disease where he can't recognize people's faces.
Oh, I know someone in real life who has that disease.
No way.
An eye condition. Yes, what is it called again?
I can't remember.
Plagia. Oh man, I got to get back to you on this. But yes, it
That
is so
is a
interesting. What a plot
Yeah.
twist. What? And we haven't even
Yeah.
gotten to the book yet. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's incredible.
Something dysplasia? Anyways, sorry.
I have
Sorry.
never heard of that. That's crazy. Wow.
It is.
Yep.
Okay, next book, Cloud, Cuckoo, Land by Anthony Dewar.
Okay, listen carefully. I'm only going to say this once. If this book does not become a modern day classic, I will show my ass on the town hall steps.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
All right, we'll hold you to that.
Oh my gosh.
We'll touch back in 50 years, okay?
I am.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's in the next 50 years, because then I'll be 113. So yeah, and nobody will come watch.
I mean, if that wasn't a teaser for a book, I don't know what is.
Oh my lord.
We don't have to know her.
We've got two
the
more to go
book,
through.
the
We're going to do
movie.
this.
Yeah, we got this.
Okay, next. The Tea Rose Trilogy by Rose O'Donnell.
Oh my goodness. Long reads takes us from the late 18th century in the slums of London. We follow the Finnegan family all the way through to the end of the First World War in Egypt, everywhere in between, the wilds of Africa.
Historical
And
fiction of
beyond.
sorts?
Historical fiction.
Beautiful. And my correction, that's Jennifer Donnelly, not Rose Donnelly.
Jennifer. Yeah,
Okay.
It's Jennifer,
Donnelly.
yeah. Okay, last one.
Yep.
Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson.
Debut novel, beautifully written, about a mum that dies, 2 siblings estranged. They find out they have a half sister. It revolves all around food of the world. It's just all about this black cake.
His what? What was it all about?
Oh God, I really messed that one up, didn't I?
It's okay. We got too overwhelmed by how good the first 3 were. Right? They can't all be good, Julie.
Yeah, they made up for the
That's
last
true.
one, that's for
true.
sure.
I made up the last one.
Now, what was it again that he was overwhelmed by?
The black cake, this black cake that her mother baked and left in the freezer for them, because it's
Oh.
a traditional cake from where they live.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole book revolves around different food, because the half sister is a chef. So it
Oh.
tells you where all these different foods that we eat, but where they originated, like plum pudding and this black cake. And it's beautiful, beautiful book.
So,
Wow.
which of these 5 books is the one you want to expand on? I'm going
Do you
to
wanna
assume
go-
it's Cloud, Cuckoo, and
Yes.
Land by Anthony
Yes.
Dewar.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
That's what was the
It is.
shortest description of the review. Okay.
That's how I feel about this book. I truly feel that way about this book. So yeah, Clyde Cuckoo Land, sure.
Can you do your best effort to give us a very brief description of what it's about? Just by your rapid fire review alone, I'm definitely interested. And we're going to hold you to that, obviously. But what's your best attempt at a synopsis?
So, Anthony, it's so different to All the Light We Cannot See, first of all.
It's different too, or similar to?
Different. It's so different. So different.
I just started that book, by the way.
Oh, okay.
All the Light, yeah.
All the Light. Have you seen the movie yet?
I watched 2. Oh man, okay, this is a total side tangent. Yeah, the miniseries, which is 4 episodes on Netflix with audio description. I watched 2 episodes, paused. I was so intrigued, but had to pause it because I said, if I finish this, I'm not going to be able to read the book.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So I paused it halfway, resisted, had to actually turn off the TV and walk away, started the book. I'm pretty much a quarter way through the book, and glad I made this choice because it's really, really well written.
Just a quarter way through, you already know it's a great book?
Yeah.
Is that enough to be able to say it's a great book?
Well, it's good writing, right?
Oh, okay.
It's good writing, yeah. And you can already tell the differences between the book and the series, how they've changed things. So
well, people have been talking about the Netflix series very highly.
Yep.
So it's a lot to live
I
up
think
to.
it's the first time they've actually used a person with sight loss to portray a person with sight loss.
Mm-hmm.
And the narrators has sight loss as well, and it's beautifully narrated on the.
Fern,
We've really digressed, haven't we?
I know. Sorry. Okay, you go back to the book.
It's so imaginative and compassionate. It's about this girl in 15th century. She lives inside the walls of Constantinople, where there's tons of libraries, and she finds this old book, and it's written on parchment and all the rest of it, about this fellow called Ethan, or this boy called Ethan, that wants to be turned into a bird so he can fly to this, absolutely wonderful utopian land in the sky. She learns how to read, and she then meets a fellow it's all about kids that are on the cusp of becoming adults. And she then meets up with this fellow called Omar. I've got it written down, but I'm not on the right page. I'll come back to that. And then it jumps from what's happening with them and this story. It starts with this story of Ethan, and he wants to go to Clyde Cuckoo Land. But then it jumps to modern day, where it's an octogenarian that's in this library, and he's showing the children how to portray this play based on this book, Clyde Cuckoo Land. Unbeknown, there's a young man that's very disenfranchised, and he has Sebastian, and he has planted a bomb in the library. Then it introduces us to Constance, that's not very far in the future, on an intergalactic spaceship. She's the only survivor left of everybody that's on this spaceship because of a virus that went through. And she's writing this story down on pieces of sack because it's a story her father told her and she wants to remember it. So she's writing this story down. And it's how these kids, the resilience of these kids to go through what they go through, and each of their worlds is on the cusp of peril, basically. And when I first started reading it, my daughter Gemma recommended this. She belongs to a book club in Quebec City, and she recommended it. And I started reading it, and I was at their house. It was last April. And she said, "Are you liking that book, Mum?" And I said, "No, I can't. I don't get it." And she said, "Yeah, it's really hard at first, but once you get into it and all these stories start falling in place, you can't put it down." And once I got to that point, I stayed up until I finished the book.
Oh, get
I
out.
could not put it down.
Because I'm at the first part now. I'm like, what is happening? 3, 4 plot lines. I'm not even sure how they all intertwine, but I guess
Right.
that's
Yeah.
the point, right?
If I'm understanding this, it's 3 timelines that happen in different times in history, and they all
Yeah.
revolve around this one story.
Oh,
This
jeez.
one story of Ethan, and it was a story that was written, and if I'm understanding it correctly, and I should have looked this up so I didn't look like an idiot if I'm wrong, it's actually a true story that has survived the years, about this boy Ethan that wants to go to be turned into a bird, and he gets turned into a donkey and all sorts of things. Like it's so it's just so imaginative. It's fabulous. And not saying that All the Light We Cannot See wasn't a great book as well, but this is going to be a modern day classic. I seriously would put money on it.
I gotta ask, what's the comparison like between the two books for you that you keep reaching out to? All the Light We Cannot See. Is it just because it's made a
Just
modern
because it's the
classic?
same author, I think. Yeah. And
Okay.
it's so different.
Yeah.
Like usually authors write about, that was a historical novel, wartime, and not that this doesn't have a lot of history in it. It's just opposite ends of the spectrum for me, because there's this whole fantasy land and looking at how the resilience of children, and it's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, the one comparison I will make is there are 2 plot lines in All the Light We Cannot See, right? That merge. So
Yes.
there's that, I guess, as a bigger picture comparison.
Oh yeah, there are. Yeah, you're right. See, I hadn't thought about that.
Interesting.
What is
though.
it specifically about this book that you thought was particularly well executed?
Definitely the writing. The narrator was lovely. That's a big thing for me. If I can't listen, if the narrator's voice doesn't catch me, the story isn't going to catch me, because I don't want to listen to their voice. I don't enjoy a book as much if the narrator is not there. And it was the way that it intertwined everything. I got knowledge about the past that history things I never ever knew about. And even though it went to the future and it is unknown, it did make me think about, how soon that different planet as we know it is going to be here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but it was every time they jumped from one person's perspective to another, it was like, oh no, what's going on there? But I'm so happy I'm going to find out what's going on in the library again. But oh my gosh, what's going on with Anna and Omar? And it was just, I couldn't stop reading it. It was brilliant. And then even at the end, it was like, I want more. Now I want to know what happens more when they're older, because it does touch on that at the end. But I want to learn more about that. And yeah, I wanted more for sure.
Well, it's like a good play. You have to leave your audience wanting more.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
The second book you mentioned with the character that you just slipped right in there at the end of Rapid Fire about having face blindness or facial blindness or whatever they call it. It's called prosopagnosia. Prosopagnosia. Okay. I still don't think I'm saying it right. But anyways, that is the one from The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, right?
No, that's the one from The Wife Between Us.
Oh, yes. The Wife Between Us by Sarah Packinen.
Oh, that is so good. I could talk about that one all day as well.
Can we just squeeze it in? Okay, bonus, because that's the one that caught my attention the most. I feel like that's going to be on my to-read list ASAP.
I mean,
it just sounds so dramatic and juicy.
Yeah. It's my favorite genre. I love suspense and thrillers and all that kind of stuff. But this one, it starts off with this married couple, and there's these letters that she writes to him on their anniversary. But then there's a big twist with that, and then there's another woman that gets involved, obviously. The wife's
Obviously.
father is an actual writer in real life that writes thrillers. So that is in there. So you think it's her dad's doing something, and it's all these twists and turns. But the fact that the husband, and I can't remember the names, I'm sorry, but the husband has this eye disease where he cannot recognize faces.
Mm-hmm.
They're just black. And that, I can't wrap my head around that. As someone who has been a sighted person, how can you look at somebody and know that it's their hair and their body shape and their clothes and that's my mum's necklace, or that's my wife's necklace.
Uh-huh.
So you know when they're walking towards you in a restaurant that it's your wife, so you can stand up and pull a chair out. How can you not recognize the face?
It's specifically the face. It's like
Face, yeah.
dyslexia, but for
face.
facial features.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the detail vision
Wow.
specifically with face. And as I said, I don't want to name names here, but there is someone I know in real life who has this, and they have a daughter who's low vision and the father who has this condition where he can't recognize faces. So they spend tons of time trying to find each other in parking lots.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah,
funny.
I bet.
But how does it contribute to this story, though? I feel like that's juicy.
It really, well,
Does it contribute to the scandalism?
no, it really
Aw.
doesn't. It really doesn't.
That's too bad.
But just the fact that they introduced it, and then towards the end, then it was like, oh, wait a minute. And then the fact that the face thing
Yeah.
did play a part in it.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
very subtle. But I love the way that these things are being introduced into, like you said, real life. There was a Hallmark movie that was just shot in Newfoundland. A friend of mine was actually in it as a bit part. He works for the CNIB. Dion, he's another one that makes my heart smile. They're lucky to have him. And it was about a fellow that went to get a CNI dog and fell in love with his dog handler. Typical Hallmark, right?
Yeah.
But it was filmed like that is in a movie. All the light we cannot see actually use people with sight loss. The fact that they're showing the rest of the world that we have not only maybe we have different abilities, but sometimes our abilities surpass yours because we aren't relying on our sight. We're relying on our other senses. And it just, the way that it's, these things are coming into the media now, whether it's a novel or a movie or whatever, that makes my heart beam. It really does.
So just a quick reminder for the listeners, the book with face blindness is The Wife Between Us by Sarah Pekkanen, and the book in which you're basically laying your entire life on is Cloud, Cuckoo, and Land by Anthony Dewar.
Julie, it's so fun chatting with you always. I feel like this conversation just flew by, but we will get you back on, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't even need to
say it. Thank you
so
much for inviting me. It means a lot. It really does. Thank you so much.
Well, thank
you so much, Julie.
Rapid fire reviewing. We love it. We're going to take a break and come back with more AMI audiobook review. As we said, this is Rapid Fire Review Bonanza, so myself, Jacob, and Nisreen are going to be killing it after the break with more Rapid Fire Review.
Welcome back to the AMI Audiobook Review. I'm Jacob Szymanski with Ramya Amathan and producer Nisreen Abdelmajid. Let's live up to our promises and actually get to our Rapid Fire Review Bonanza. But really quickly, first, Rams, you want to go through the CELA homepage?
Yeah, okay. Give us some time to get with the program about this Rapid Fire.
Yeah, we're actually super nervous about this.
He's not nervous at all, okay? Nisreen and I, on the other end, sweating bullets out here. Okay, CELA homepage. This is the Center for Equitable Library Access. You can go visit the page at celalibrary.ca. If you haven't signed up, why not? Do it. Okay, so here are the 3 featured titles up there. They are The Armor of Light, Kingsbridge number 4 by Ken Follett. And this is a historical fiction title. Number 2 on the featured list is Starling House by Alex Sierra, romantic suspense. And the last one is The Running Grave by Robert Algrave. And this is a gentle mysteries. Okay,
Well
it's
done.
about time.
Okay, let's do it. We decided to do this rapid fire review in alphabetical order based on our last names. That's an executive decision from me. I will hear none of it. Nisreen, you're up first.
So unfair.
Yeah, I know.
Deal with it. Someone has to go
But
first.
I'm okay.
Okay, you all know the rules. 15 seconds for 5 books, 15 seconds each. Let's get started. Thinks We Never Got Over by Lucy Score.
Okay, if you enjoy a good small town romance filled with crime and passion and love, this is a spicy relationship with a bad boy, Knox, and a
Ooh.
nice woman, Naomi, stranded a runaway bride.
Okay, wait, I am curious about the runaway bride part. That's a nice cliffhanger. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the nice thing about these. Sometimes you get left with cliffhangers, you know?
Yeah. Okay, well, Nisreen's a fan of this author, so number 2 is
Yes.
Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score.
So, Nash Morgan, chief of police, who was known as the guy who was nice to everybody, but the good brother. But he doesn't want anyone to know he's struggling from panic attacks and nightmares and from his own shadow. What? Y'all are horrible.
Okay, the next book is Book Lovers by Emily Henry.
Okay, Book Lovers by Emily Henry is a heartwarming enemies to lovers type of romance centering around Nora Stevens, a literary agent who goes to Sunshine Falls for a month-long trip with her sister, a beautiful relationship with her sister. This book... So far, I'm not liking this. Not a fan.
Oh
But
my
we're
God.
intrigued. Okay, you're going to give us one more by Lucy Score. This one is called Things We Left Behind.
So, Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score, another small town romance, a story about a man, Lucian Rollins, who is a vengeance seeker, spends every waking moment to build an empire. The more money, the more power he has, the safer he feels.
Oh,
Yes.
That was a good build-up.
yo, I
Yes.
like
Good
that.
build-up.
I can hear the intensity in your voice rising as the 15 seconds goes through.
I feel like I could be...
The more money, the more power.
Last one,
Okay.
There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark.
All right, so this is the first book in the Sinner's Duet. So this book contains extremely dark themes that might be triggering to some because it's a steamy serial killer romance that will take you on a journey through the twist.
Oh, wait. Pardon me? Wait, did you talk about this book on the show before?
No,
What
but
the hell is a
it's-
serial killer
no,
romance?
Steamy
So
serial killer.
apparently, I do have a type that I go for because
No.
it's very toxic. Because I mentioned another serial killer book on the
Okay,
show
that's why.
before.
It
I
feels
did,
familiar.
but this is different, and it's very yeah. I didn't like it very much, but we'll just pass that moment for a sec.
Well, would you like to elaborate on it?
Yeah, which one? Which is the book you want to
which
elaborate
book?
on?
The Book Lovers one. It's really cute. I feel like it was a heartwarming enemies to lovers type of romance. It's a happy story, you know, like it's those typical cliche books, but there's hard topics, but there's humor twisted into it. So if you want another rom-com to add to your book collection, I'd say this is it.
And you like this kind of read in general when you're not doing serial killer romances, I guess. But
Yeah,
any
I
kind of
got-
like romance light read is your vibe,
I
right?
feel like Lucy Score kind of hit it right with me. As you can tell, I really liked her books. When it comes to light reads, this is what I go for. I go for the romance, small town romance, which is I was ashamed back then of those types of
Like
things.
guilty pleasure, yeah.
A guilty pleasure, exactly. But yeah, the serial killer romance is very toxic. However, it's very intriguing. So that's why I kind of.
What's
as
the
you can
toxic
tell,
part of it?
They use each other. I feel like
Oh.
the guy, yeah,
Oh,
like
whoops.
it's not the typical romance that you would go
Huh.
for. I mean, he's not. sane, I guess.
Yeah, that's a problem.
He loses control, and
Oh.
and the thing is about these books, it's like you kind of you wish that you didn't like it because there are some toxic moments that you're like, okay, there's younger people that read it too.
Yeah, not
So
really
what did they
necessarily the
think
best
of it?
model for relationships.
Mm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's so many books like that.
Well,
So
it's a question of, yeah, it's okay to portray toxic relationships. It's just a matter of how it's presented, if it's normal
Mhm.
or if it's not normal,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
and how do you
exactly.
think it's done in Book Lovers?
It was just a heartfelt romance book that typically like small town cliche.
The romance in a small town is a cliche, but I'd also argue that the enemies to lovers is a bit of a cliche as well, eh?
Yeah, yeah. Enemies to lovers, I say that because it is. I mean, at first they didn't like each other, they didn't get along, and obviously, when I say cliche, it gets to that. I mean, my sister told me about this, and I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. I know how this will end.
I feel like
I
when authors write like that, like an enemies to lovers story, it's meant as like a misdirection, as like, oh, they're not gonna fall in love. Look at this horrible first interaction they have. And then
yeah,
it's,
but
I feel like it's
you
so
know they're
overdone at
gonna
this
fall
point.
for each other.
And or
Yeah,
not realistic, right? Like at the end, it's like, oh, it all just works out. And you're like,
yeah.
did we really go through
Opposites
that process
attract,
properly,
whatever.
people?
Mhm. Mhm. However, I still liked the story. I felt like it was still cute, humorous. They added a lot of humorous twists to it. So I'd say a rom-com
Yeah,
is a perfect way to describe this book. So,
cozy, I guess. When
mhm.
there's no serial
Cozy
killers involved, if we're
rom-com.
just talking about the small town romance again.
Let's go
I
with that.
somehow now think that like everything you read has this background of serial killer drama going on. It is
I feel like there's a rumor going around that like all girls like
yes.
serial
Oh,
killer
it's a thing
stories.
now. It's part of like every comedian's bit and yeah, that we fall asleep to
I don't
like
know what it
thrillers
is. I don't know what
and
it is, but it's
slasher things.
exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
Murder
is this you
mysteries.
saying you find it exciting? You know, the thought of
Oh
interacting
no.
with the serial killer? Am I
No. I didn't say
The,
misunderstanding?
the genre.
The genre.
I'm
The
going
genre's
I
thrilling,
thought you
okay?
were defending
It's
having
right
a
in
thing for serial killers.
right in the title, thrillers. Okay, come
What
on.
about you, Rams?
What?
Do you like serial
What,
killers?
2 out of 3 of us around the table like serial killer dramas, okay? Big whoop. I mean, it's a popular genre for a reason, all right?
No, but
Mhm.
Nisreen said that there's a rumor that girls like serial killers, like romantically, like it's a crush
No,
thing.
that's not what you. Is that what you said, Niz?
No.
Okay, that's
I
not
did
what she
not
said.
say that.
All right.
Jacob,
Oh God, we need
get
to
outta
clear the
here.
air.
So
Rapid
what-
fire
okay.
review bonanza has taken a turn, guys.
Okay, fine. Let's move on to Ramya's turn. All right, you sweating yet?
I've been sweating. Can you hear it in my voice? I'm
I actually
terrified.
can. I actually
I'm
can.
so terrified. Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. This is a lot more nerve-wracking than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Well, wait till it's your turn. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Nisreen and Rams, you ready? All right, first book, In the Flow by Alicia Vitti.
In the Flow is about women taking power over their cycles. Our cycles are very different from a man's cycle, which is 24-hour day in terms of hormonal. Ours is 28 days or whatever your actual cycle is. So she talks about understanding yourself better.
Huh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. I thought, okay, I'm doing better
That was
than I
good.
thought.
Wow,
Yeah.
I never thought of guys having a 24-hour cycle.
Yeah, like our days are different than yours. Our cycles hormonally are
fascinating.
different. Yep.
Okay,
Sorry, I'm proud of myself. Okay, keep going.
Wired for Love by Stan Tatkin.
This is about attachment styles. There are different attachment styles that we come in with. It's a lot about nurture, our parenting, what we went through, abandonment, and then it brings this into our adult relationships and how we can do better from understanding our own attachment styles. Boom!
What? And you were
What?
nervous. Get out of here.
Yo!
That was the best one we've heard yet.
Okay.
Like
thanks.
out of all of our rapid fire reviews,
Get
that was
out.
ridiculous. Okay, so
I
this
gotta
one is
listen
all
back.
about
I don't even know what I'm
your
saying.
psychology background. I can see why you like this one. You've always been into
I am
psychology.
in love
eh?
with this kind of stuff. Yes.
I
And
can't
it
help but
can
feel
get
like,
kind of preachy about it.
yeah.
I've
I
tried
was
to
just
avoid
gonna
that on air.
say it can get into a bit preachy, and
Yeah.
this just it plays into the idea that humans just want to sort everything
Right.
including
Yes.
sorting
Yeah.
the way we love.
Yeah, type it, right? Like put ourselves into types, into categories to make ourselves understand better, which I can understand the wanting to understand because, life is confusing. We're lost like all the time. And especially romantically, you go towards genre or psychology like this. Anyways, we'll get into it.
Yeah, but even if sorting things can pigeonhole you,
Of course.
it does help understanding yourself a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't know. I have thoughts on this.
We'll
Okay,
get
next
into
one.
it.
The Starless Sea by Aaron Morgenstern.
Honestly, even by the end of the book, I don't know what the hell this thing is about. There's so much adventure. There's honey. You're diving into things. There's bees everywhere. You're trying to find keys. You're taking on a journey, and you have no idea where you're going or where you'll end up. It's just
What did you just say? What?
where you're going, where you'll end up. It's just an adventure book.
I'm so confused.
Exactly.
What's this book?
That's what this book is. It's so confusing.
Did you like it?
I loved it. The writing was epic.
Wow.
It was phenomenally written. But I promise you, there's just I don't know what goes on. It's
You're not
like,
selling it very well.
I'm
but
sorry,
it's-
I know. It's really hard to sell this book. Maybe I'll read the synopsis later. Okay.
That's bonkers. Okay, last one.
Are we
Ender's
at the
Game.
last one already?
Yeah, last one.
mean,
Ender's Game
Shoot.
by Orson Scott Card.
Ender's Game is about a boy who gets taken on by, military, quote unquote, in this dystopian world. He has to go and learn how to fight in zero gravity, and eventually they got to face this entire outer space situation. But it's cool. Oh, what? I didn't even tell you why it's cool yet.
You finished it, but it's cool. Are you saying all science fiction is not cool?
No, it is.
It's a
is
science
more
fiction
than
book,
cool.
but it's actually good.
It's not what I meant.
No, this has always been on my want to read list. I've heard
Oh,
so
it
many
is
good
so
things about it.
good.
Even though the author is a bit of a problematic dude. Kind
Oh,
of
the
same
book
vein
is
as,
problematic
J.K. Rowling.
also.
Oh,
It comes
is
out.
it?
It comes out, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
interesting. I did not know that. I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah, you would definitely get into it, and there's like gender discrepancies and all kinds of stuff that come up, but it's very, very fun. It's adventurous. There's a lot going on in terms of just, how we talk about world building all the time,
Yeah.
but this is more about like, if this was a video game, how would you make it work? So you get like all the details of how you would fight in a zero gravity or in a controlled environment in this way. How would you make this an outer space situation? And like he makes that part of it interesting. It's fun. It's so fun.
Like imposing hypothetical situations and then working through that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what science fiction and sci-fi is at its best to me.
Yes.
It's imposing hypothetical situations, often ridiculous hypothetical
Right.
situations, and seeing where they go and what you can do with it. And
Yeah.
especially at its best is when you can create a really interesting plot and themes around those hypotheticals.
And he's done it. He's done it all, from like the social hierarchy to, like these kids are just tossed into this situation and they have to learn how to fight. And half of them are like not even built to fight, let alone go through war. So there's so much of that out there as well, or like
Okay.
in the book.
So we cheated a little bit and talked about some of these
About all
books
the
already.
books, yeah.
Of the 5 books that
You
you
made
gave us,
me.
which one do you want to elaborate on?
I want to elaborate on Wired for Love. So this was the full title of this is Wired for Love: How Understanding Your Partner's Brain and Attachment Style Can Help You Diffuse Conflict and Build a Secure Relationship. So
That's the whole title?
that's the whole title. So clearly you understand like what kind of book this is already. One of these like self-development, psychological theories, and the theories we're talking about are attachment styles. So there's the secure attachment style, the anxious attachment style, and the avoidant attachment style. I'm not going to get into it. If you're curious, go read it. But the summary of the book, I guess, is a guide to building and maintaining strong, healthy relationships. It explores neuroscience and attachment styles to help partners create secure connections and navigate the ups and downs of love. So the reason why I thought this was interesting is because, and this is kind of getting into my personal journey, but going into therapy, right? So starting therapy as a thing, number one, and then starting to understand myself and like the way I was raised versus my view on relationships versus my friends' views on relationships, or understanding what you're using as a model for relationships. All these kind of things come about in this book, and they kind of like explore, or the author explores, um, identifying not just your thought patterns and behaviors, but identifying things that you may be very, very unconscious of, but that you're bringing into relationships because, that's just what you're used to. That's what your parents brought to the relationship, or your caregivers or whoever brought into, that have been modeled to you and ingrained in you for so long. And or you're doing the opposite because you've had to cope and protect yourself in certain ways growing up. I find this kind of neuroscience / psychology / sociology very, very interesting. And then I always kind of loop it back to culturally. What does this mean, right? Like, what do a lot of people who grew up in my situation go through? And what
Okay,
you
yeah.
say, Jacob, like in terms of boxing ourselves in or pigeonholing ourselves, is very true. So you have to be super careful about taking on theories like this. However, it is interesting to start opening up your mind and empathizing, right? Like in certain circumstances. I feel like it's more interesting to think about breakups in certain scenarios and go through it personally, not like, judge other people, but go through things personally that way. And I found this kind of book to be very just intriguing in that sense.
Does it present attachment styles in a very matter-of-fact way, or is it advocating for it, or is it saying that you shouldn't box yourself in, or just to be more empathetic towards other people's
It's more
attachment styles
empathetic.
once you figure it out?
Yes, to
It's about
your
empathy.
own, to understanding your partner, like which was in the title, right? It just makes you more empathetic. It makes you maybe understand that things aren't all just black and white, or these are the nuanced reasons why this might be the conflict that you're facing, like the fight or the argument that you're having. But deeper than that, it goes back to how you dealt with things for years, or how your parents may have dealt with things for years, that kind of stuff. So it's quite nuanced. Like, it's definitely not a here it is what it is. Here's the theory you must buy in. Which, if it was like that, I would never.
Does it
talk
read
about it.
like a manual where it's like, if X person has this attachment style, you should work with them in this way?
It does get to points like that, but initially, when it's introducing the attachment styles, it will tell you. The author goes through how this may not be the full picture. Like, you might present as having this attachment style, but that doesn't mean that you also won't have these things that have happened to you that then result in this behavior or whatever.
I'm still not fully sure what an attachment style
It's how you bring yourself into a relationship based
bring
on
yourself or
yeah,
maintain it.
like maintain it, obviously, like, but how you bring yourself into a relationship based on whether you have an very anxious way of connecting with somebody, or an avoidant way, which is like shutting down when connecting with somebody and facing conflict, or if there was somewhere in the middle where you were able to have a secure attachment style. So, healthy pull away, healthy pull in.
So you told us to go and read it because you didn't want to explain it, but I'm not going to read it. So can you tell me
What?
about...
But it's almost time for yours now.
No, really, really quickly. Can you just tell me about the anxious
The anxious
relationship style?
is the way that it's described in this book is the person who wants to go into the relationship, like into the partnership, when they're feeling anxious. So instead of like shutting down or burrowing away, or like, I need some time to think about it, they're more like, let's go in this together now, like deal with things right now. That's kind of the way of describing it. I think Google search would give you a better description. Can we go to yours now? I feel like
Yeah.
you're avoiding. Okay.
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, I am.
Avoidant
Now my
attachment
now
style.
my heart's
Yeah.
pumping. Yeah. Avoid. Shut up.
I know.
It's all
All right.
phony anyways.
Yeah, right. No, it's not. Okay, here we go. Ready. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson.
Okay, this is a good old-fashioned murder mystery, kind of a modernized version of Nancy Drew. It takes place in a small town. Somebody gets murdered, and this senior high schooler, as her final project, decides to solve a murder of something that happened about 5 years ago. Yep.
Did you like this book? I can't tell if you liked it. It was so
I liked
deadpan.
it. I actually loved it.
Neutral description.
It's funny because it's kind of shallow in a way. Like, it doesn't delve into like the human condition or philosophy or anything like that. But I was engrossed. I finished it in 2 days. It's like 8 hours long.
Oh,
So like I cranked it
it
out
kept you going, yeah.
because I want to know what happened. It was very well fabricated.
All right.
Mhm.
Have you read more by this author, by the way?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
This book is hugely popular, by the way.
Really?
Hmm
I don't even know. I feel like I've heard the title, but I feel like there's different titles that sound exactly like this.
You've heard it before because Karen McGee actually had it part of her rapid fire review a couple
get
episodes.
out. This is cheating.
Because I picked it up because of her recommendation.
Unreal. Now
Yeah.
I get to go back and see how she described it in her rapid fire. Okay, ready?
Yep.
My Body by Emily Ratajkowski.
This is a memoir by supermodel Emily Ratajkowski. It's not a very remarkable memoir, to be honest, but what I found it did particularly well was I've never heard someone articulate the complexity of monetizing your body.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, but it wasn't written very well? What did you mean? It was kind of...
It wasn't written very well, and she talks about events in her life that I quite frankly don't really care about. I think what it did best was discuss what's the word? The word isn't coming to me, but just how complex and how mind-bending it is to commodify your body for money.
Interesting.
And like the ethical and moral dilemmas that come with that.
Has she talked about this stuff in interviews, or like have you followed her before this? Before
No.
reading this book? Okay.
No, I didn't really know about her before this book, honestly.
The synopsis, like the back cover, sounded so good. And I've put it on my to-read list.
It's very short. I would still recommend it because it was definitely eye-opening for me.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, next.
Okay. Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb.
This is the first book of a trilogy, the Farseer trilogy. If you're into the political intrigue in Game of Thrones, this is a book for you. It's in a fantasy setting. It follows the bastard son of a king and how he gets put in an impossible situation. It's funny because the character really has nothing remarkable about him, but you
Excuse me?
really
Excuse
care
me.
about him.
15 minutes
Yay.
It was good. It was good. Read it.
Like,
Did you not hear the ding?
unbelievable.
I wanted to finish
He
my
didn't
sentence.
hear the
Unbelievable.
ding.
Yeah, that was a long ass
Didn't hear the
sentence.
ding.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I tried.
the clock's creeping up. Hold up. You said if you're interested in the political side of Game of Thrones,
Yeah, all the court
Ah.
intrigue, yeah.
that is...
The politicking.
It's, I love when you do these comparisons, but you take like a very specific part of another series and you're like, if you're into that aspect, you might like this. That's quite intriguing. Okay. Fourth one. The Anthropocene, reviewed by John Green.
This is an essay collection by popular novelist and YouTuber John Green. Every essay has to do with something very innocuous, like Dr. Pepper or the Daytona 500 or the largest ball of tape in the world. But he always refers it back to some sort of...
Some sort of what?
I'm going to stop myself there.
Some sort of what?
The bell went off. I have to stop.
Tell. Pray tell, some sort of...
Some sort of element that has to do with the human condition.
Interesting.
He takes something innocuous and just uses it to make a really interesting observation about humanity as a whole.
Oh, I love
Very
this. I
cool,
am
yeah.
so picking this up.
Some of the essays are actually available just freely on YouTube.
I was just going to say, and is an essay worth the time? Like, can I just watch a TikTok video, or is it so worth it to get into
No,
it?
it's worth it. It's
Yeah?
worth it.
All right.
He's a good writer too. Really good observations, to be honest. It's very optimistic too.
All right, fine. Last one. Alive by Pierce Paul.
In 1972, there was a plane that was carrying a rugby team that was flying over the Andes and it crashed. And this is a story of the 41 people that had to survive a little over 2.5 months in the snow. And it's a story of survival and how they use Christianity to justify cannibalism.
Oh!
And it's a true story.
Oh, no. Oh, my
Stop.
God.
I want to hear this one.
This one was best for last for sure. Also,
Well, lucky
what's the
you.
name
This
again?
is Alive. Alive by Pierce Paul.
yeah.
This one actually came out only
my
2
God.
years after the accident. And this is the one I want to elaborate on a little bit.
Okay, please do. And also, before you do that, I just want to say this is the fastest you've ever talked, ever.
Yeah, I was nervous because I'm a slow talker. Jeez.
You did well. Congrats. Okay, tell us. Tell us about Alive.
Okay, so there were 41 players on this plane, and only 16 of them survived. If there's one word I could use to describe it, it's very unsensationalized, because this is a massive story at the time. It was a massive worldwide story that these people survived. And they go through some absolute brutality in here where they don't exactly work together. The ones that survive the plane crash, they kind of divide themselves into the weak and the strong. And then some people are extremely crass and don't care about helping others, while others are extremely caring and go on these expeditions to go and try to find a road and try to find society.
So it's like Lord of the Flies, but real, right?
It's like Lord of the Flies, but real. If you
That's
ask,
exactly what I was thinking of.
it is a lot like Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, like, surviving on an island situation.
But I think what people take the most out of this book is the cannibalism.
God, yeah.
Because a lot of the people on this plane are very devout Catholics, and they refer to like their faith a lot and how it's what kept them going.
Yes.
And they also literally use it to justify cannibalism, saying like the body of Christ has been giving us strength all this time. The bodies of our friends can keep us alive in this time.
Stop it.
Yeah, it's very haunting. And at the end of the book, it actually references an actual press conference that one of the survivors did shortly after. And he doesn't directly talk about the cannibalism, but he does say, like, we did what we did to survive and we're not sorry.
Do you know how the author pulled the facts for this, or was it just everything
He
was very well
interviewed the survivors directly.
known? Okay.
And he even said that the way they were telling the story very unrepentantly, and they didn't feel bad about it at all, and they did what they did to survive. He wanted to represent that very matter of fact. So it is set in chronological order, like a story, but it's all based on facts, and there's very little moralizing. You just have to come to your own conclusions.
Do you ever think about how, because it was written so close to the event, just 2 years, I mean, like, freaking insurance claims take longer than that. You're getting like very reactive, and justifiable, defensive, that's the word I want to go for, defensive ways of looking at this. I wonder if like 10 years later, people would have a different outlook on the things that they've done to survive this.
That's a good question. My first thought is no. I feel like 2 years is enough time
You think so?
to have your raw opinions on the topic. Like, okay, so people are aware, not the survivors, but just like the community are aware that these people like cannibalize their friends to stay alive.
Sure.
Is that opinion really going to change like 20 years down the road? Like, does 20
the
years
way you're
of
sitting with it.
does 20 years of pondering make you say, yeah, you know what, cannibalism is actually pretty cool?
No, it's more like, you know how you said they were unrepentful, or how did you say it?
They just didn't feel bad about
Yeah,
it.
they
They
didn't
were
feel bad
very
about it.
honest.
They might feel bad about it 5 years later.
I don't think that's the case, because they still gave interviews like a year and a half after.
Yeah, but that's a year and a half is nothing. That's what I'm trying to get at. This time frame is so raw.
Yeah, no,
And-
this was a brutal book also in its descriptions, like people having to crawl around with 2 broken legs
Oh
for
my
two and
God,
a
oh my
half
God,
months in the
yeah.
snow, and like they barely had
The whole
food,
circumstance.
but they did have like 3 crates of wine.
That's what kept him going.
Yeah, clearly.
Oh, Jacob, great picks, for rapid fire.
Yeah, well, likewise, and you too, Niz.
Thank you. Okay, guys, we got to wrap. So we will be back next week. Who are we chatting with next week?
We're chatting with Sela. We're going to be talking about the complexities of co-authoring, and we're also talking with Sarah Hillis. She's going to be presenting her Know Your Narrator segment.
Lovely. So we'll be back then. Of course, weekly episodes drop, AMI audiobook review, and you can call us 1-866-509-4545. Give us your thoughts, join in on the conversations, and even the book club questions maybe. Email us, feedback@ami.ca. And that's it for us. Ramya Amudan, Jacob Shymansky, Nisreen Abdelmajid. Until next time, happy audiobook listening.